You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, an update from a 1999 case in Oklahoma.
Monday morning tornadoes followed by torrential rainfall. We will now turn our attention to flood warnings and wind, leaving close to 5,000 four-state customers without power. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, Frontenac gets a little festive with its Festa Italiana. All that and more coming up.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Let's not delay and go straight to weather.
All right, here's what we had. 2 rounds of tornadic activity produced by thunderstorms late last night into early this morning throughout southwest Missouri and northeast Oklahoma, followed by a break, followed by round 2 of tornadic activity. Our confirmed touchdowns taking place in Delaware County and northeast Oklahoma, and then in Neosho, corner of Palm and Jaguar Road. Now, we know those took tree limbs down and power lines down. Then, about 4:45, an additional round of tornadoes touching down. This storm report coming out right along the Barton-Jasper County lines. We had a tractor implement flipped over, a barn destroyed, and speaking of those power lines down, if you range just about any county throughout the 4 states, you're going to find outages that range anywhere from 700 customers, which is what we're seeing in McDonald County in southwest Missouri and Crawford County in southeast Kansas. Don't forget about Ottawa or Delaware County. That's another 700. And just coming out per, say, 8 to 10 minutes ago, a new report, 2,300 customers in Lynn County in southeast Kansas. 2,300 customers in Lynn County now without power. That is the result of the high winds. Look at that. How about a 60-mile-an-hour gust measured at Joplin Regional Airport? Now, we've also got flooding concerns on top of that. The rain has been torrential all morning long. Look at the rain totals. So that is just from overnight into this morning. We're already approaching the 5-6 inch mark down to the southeast already. Iola Fire Department in Allen County spent the morning rescuing stranded drivers from floodwaters. So let that be a lesson. Don't think it's going to flood. Don't anticipate it flooding. It's already upon us, folks. And so what that will lead to is additional rain still working its way from the south to the northeast. So let's go ahead and say another inch to inch and a half of rain before it's all said and done. We have been able to lift flood warnings throughout southwest Missouri and along the Missouri-Kansas state line. So that is some good news, but you'll notice the flood warnings in the lime green there throughout southeast Kansas, ranging until 11:15. Out throughout southwest Missouri and our counties straddling the state lines, those are wind advisories. That's what's causing all the power outages, lasting until 11 a.m. Now, all this being said, as we get a little sunlight, get to assess our damage, actually have some sunshine later on this afternoon. It is going to be an afternoon full of cleanup activities. Mark my words. Also, I want to point out, when you're out and about this morning and this afternoon, please know that falling limbs, that's going to be a major, major danger as well. Excuse me. Now, as we roll our rain off for tonight into tomorrow, we're actually going to get a little bit of a lull on Tuesday and most of Wednesday. However, Tanya, we're going to be right back at it. More thunderstorm activity for Wednesday night into Thursday morning.
All right, well, we'll be keeping an eye on that for sure. Hopefully it won't be as busy as a morning as it was today.
So we will reiterate our current threats. Flooding. It's not imminent, it's going on. It is here. Mm-hmm. High winds. I'm talking about tree limbs that are still going to come down throughout the course of the morning.
Yeah. Watch those doors. Make sure you close them.
Yes, please.
All right. Thanks, Michael. Officials with the Joplin Police Department are conducting a death investigation in the Campbell Parkway neighborhood. According to JPD, officers were dispatched to a home in the 1300 block of Massachusetts this weekend. 2 people were confirmed dead from an incident inside a residence in that area. Police confirmed the incident was isolated and there's no ongoing threat to the public. This is a developing story and we will have more information as it becomes available. Officials say a man from Goodman, Missouri was killed in a crash in southeast Missouri. According to the Missouri State Highway Patrol, a moped driven by 37-year-old Justin Freeman of Goodman was hit by a Dodge Ram truck on US 60, 10 miles east of Poplar Bluff. Freeman's moped then ran off the road after the crash. Freeman was pronounced dead at the scene. Investigators this weekend continued the search for two girls who went missing from Welch, Oklahoma in 1999. Authorities believe Ashley Freeman and Laura Bible were kidnapped and murdered, but their bodies have never been found. This weekend, investigators searched the property at 627 South Ottawa Street in Pitcher. Based on the interviews with Ronnie Busick, who is in prison for his role for this case.
I've been more hands-on getting this place ready to search. There are cellars, wells and stuff back behind this property, as well as there's two places that they say that could be cellars behind the property. We were just off a little bit the last time.
Investigators did not find anything but plan to keep looking as new leads come up. A large number of Crawford County parents made their voices heard at this weekend's county commissioner meeting concerning the school district's mask policy. Last week, the USD 250 school board announced that masks in the classroom will be optional if Crawford County meets certain health requirements related to COVID-19. While some people at the county commissioner meeting supported the new policy, many parents in attendance felt that student mask wearing should be 100% optional.
It's the option. I don't care if you send your kid in a hazmat suit. You know, we just want the option, just like you have an option to get a shot, whether you believe in that or not. And let's just make it simple. I mean, we've been dealing with this long enough. We should know by now, and personal choice.
Later in the show, we'll hear from a Crawford County commissioner about Friday's feedback from parents. Miami's Rotary Centennial Park was the place to be this weekend for both four-staters and their four-legged friends. Dog owners participated in a community dog walk that also featured prizes, doggy bags, and even a meet and greet with local rescue pets. The fun-filled event, also known as the Pup Strut, was put on by both Miami's Community Crisis Center and the Miami Animal Alliance. And while it was meant to be a good time for both people and pups, it was also sending out a serious message.
October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and there is a really high correlation between animal abuse and domestic violence. So we partnered with Miami Animal Alliance just to kind of bring the community out and raise awareness and let people know that we think all people and pets deserve to be safe, and there's free local resources, and just encourage people with information and ways that they can get involved and ways they can reach out for help if they need it.
The event was labeled as the first annual Pup Strut. Organizers were encouraged by the decent turnout. They say they're excited about doing it all again next year and hope they can get even more people and puppies involved. A change is coming to the way Joplin Globe subscribers receive their paper. The Globe announced subscribers will be getting the paper by mail instead of through contracted carriers. They'll still get their paper same day, but this will change when during the day subscribers get their paper.
This move is going to, save expense. The cost of delivering the paper is one of the highest costs that we have at the Globe, and by combining with the post office, which is already sending a carrier to every home every day, it's going to allow us to save money and reinvest into keeping our news product strong.
The change begins November 2nd. The city of Frontenac is continuing a 22-year tradition of helping out its students while celebrating its heritage. Koam's Bronte Saratsky has more on how this year's Festa Italiana aimed to help out local Frontenac kids.
The city of Frontenac celebrates 22 years of bridging cultures and celebrating their heritage. And they're doing this at their annual Festa Italiana.
There's German food, Italian food. There's more Italian food than anything, just because that's the heritage of Frontenac,
Plenty of people were gathered Saturday to taste good food and enjoy each other's company, but the event had a larger impact.
We have people who donate their time and food, and we use the money to fund scholarships. Every graduating senior from Frontenac gets a $150 scholarship every semester.
This fundraiser that's gone on for over 20 years not only helps out graduating Frontenac seniors, but all Frontenac students.
The Education Foundation was founded on scholarships, but they also help fund numerous things for the kids at school at Frontenac. We have funded anything from field trips for kids to new technology at school.
All to help Frontenac students further their education. Paul Hetze is one of the founders of the Scholarship Foundation. His niece Kay has seen the impact this scholarship foundation has had on young people in the town firsthand.
I've had 3 kids who have gotten that scholarship twice a year, all 4 years. So it is amazing and it's awesome. Of course, it impacted them financially, but it made them want to be a part of FESTA and pay back.
And for former Frontenac students like Gina Coombs, being back at the event that helped her through college is like coming full circle.
This is an opportunity for me to give back to the school and the way that it helped provide tuition money every semester that you are attending college. So this was a wonderful opportunity for my family and I to give back.
In Frontenac, Bronte Sorotsky, KUAM News.
Money raised from the FESTA goes toward a service scholarship as well as a scholarship in one of the founders' honor. All right, well, this 1911 photo of shoeless Joe Jackson holds the new record for a signed sports photo. There it is. Christie says it just sold at auction for more than $1.4 million. That's roughly 4 times what the company had estimated. The photo of Jackson is part of an ongoing auction of baseball memorabilia. That's pretty cool. Up next, a man forgets he's got a lotto ticket and ends up winning $200,000. Wish that was me. And later, students from Pittsburgh clean up grave sites. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Healthcare workers have been fighting the COVID pandemic on the front lines for more than a year and a half. Now we're learning the mental health toll it's taking on them. Michael George shows us how a new study uses technology to monitor stress among doctors and nurses.
Dr. James Marion is a gastroenterologist, but when the first wave of COVID devastated New York, he was asked to help the sickest patients.
They wanted me to run a 14-bed COVID unit. The hospital was filling up pretty rapidly.
He was one of thousands of healthcare workers coping with stress of long hours, PPE shortages, and the worry of catching COVID.
I think my biggest fear was that I'd bring it home to my family.
So this is interesting in the study.
Doctors Robert Hurton and Zahi Fayyad at Mount Sinai are studying the psychological effects of the pandemic on frontline healthcare workers in what they call the Warrior Watch study. Doctors and nurses wear Apple Watches to monitor their heart rate and fill out surveys to measure stress, resilience, emotional support, and quality of life.
Healthcare workers we're finding have increasing rates of burnout, anxiety, are at risk of developing post-traumatic stress disorder, and have ongoing long-term effects from the stress.
They also found healthcare workers who could overcome stress and had strong emotional support were protected.
There are multiple ways you could build resilience. It all relates to lifestyle, your exercise, improve your sleep patterns, and learn how to do breathing exercises to be able to deal with things when they come to face you.
Dr. Marion took part in the research and says he's motivated to improve his mental and physical health.
It has totally changed my relationship with exercise and with staying fit. I was running before, but now I'm doing pacing, I'm doing interval training.
And that's helping his body and mind. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
A North Carolina man won nearly $200,000 on a lottery ticket he forgot he had bought. Gregory Warren, a mechanic from Frankenville, picked up a Cash 5 lottery ticket at a gas station on September 29th. And then he completely forgot about it until this week when he decided he might as well check his numbers. When his Cash 5 numbers matched, he said he was in shock. Warren is planning to use the money to start a new business so he can hire his son when he graduates from high school. That's awesome. Always check those tickets.
Not gonna lie to you, I was looking at the little Osage River flood watch that just popped up.
Oh, what's the update on that?
I can tell that dude won a lot of money. How about that? All right, let's talk about where we stand right now. The rain that is still left over 7th and Range Line coming down sideways as the result of the high winds. The immediate threat is the flooding that we have throughout southeast Kansas and the high winds that we have all throughout the 4 states that have resulted in massive power outages. Our rain totals from overnight into this morning, we're already in excess of 3 inches. We're approaching 4 to 5 as we've got flood warnings for SEK for the Lime Green, transition over to southwest Missouri and along the state line. Wind advisory, wind gusts of up to close to 60 miles per hour recorded at Joplin Regional Airport. We've got about, give or take, 45 to 5,000 customers, not people, customers, in the 4 states that are without power. You see the additional storm reports with the red and white funnel cloud icon. We had multiple touchdowns in Delaware County throughout northeast Oklahoma, Neosho at the corner of Puma and Palm and Jaguar Road. And then we had another one right along the Jasper-Barton County line. Flipped over a tractor. We got trees down and multiple reports of power lines down, obviously with the amount of people that are without lights on this Monday morning. Kind of reset the old radar right there. Now, by the time we get to the KOM news at noon, actually when we're seeing a little peak of sunshine, it's going to probably rain here till about 9, 10 o'clock this morning, and then we'll be able to push it out and the clouds will follow along as it kind of swirls into central Missouri right there. We'll actually get up close to 80 degrees on Tuesday and Wednesday. Not quite done for the week though. We're going to be right back at this Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Be back with more KOM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Since you do have to put the
William Shatner's real-life space mission. Here's David Daniel with today's Hollywood Minute.
Here's your first look at Timothée Chalamet as Wonka. The actor posted the pic on social media. The Charlie and the Chocolate Factory prequel is now shooting in London.
Are you under control? Are you? No.
Jessica Chastain leads an all-star cast in The 355, about female operatives who band together to stop a mercenary from using a top-secret weapon. This is the first trailer for the globe-trotting adventure, which also stars Dion Kruger and Oscar winners Lupita Nyong'o and Penelope Cruz. The 355 hits theaters January 7th.
And Mr. Shatner, looking this way, please.
It'll be a bit longer than expected before William Shatner boldly goes where no nonagenarian has gone before. Windy weather forecast for Tuesday has prompted Blue Origin to bump the Star Trek Legend's suborbital flight until Wednesday. Captain Kirk has waited 90 years to really go into space. He can wait one more day. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Be right back with today's 4-state hero after this.
It's time to honor today's 4-state hero. Specialist Greg Melching in the U.S. Army. Soldier from Galesburg, Kansas, joined the 1011th Quartermaster Company and the 129th Transportation Company in 2003. He served tours in both Kuwait and Iraq, earning a number of honors, among them the Armed Forces Reserved Medal and the Global War on Terrorism Medal. To Specialist Greg Melching, we thank you, our 4-state hero. Well, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, two of the most recognizable days that we remember our fallen servicemen and women. Some Pittsburgh High School Key Club members added this weekend to that list as they spent their Sunday cleaning the headstones of veterans at Mount Olive Cemetery.
I just think it's really rewarding to watch a group of people like this come out and do something good.
Emily Reams is a junior at Pittsburgh High School and decided to join some of her fellow Key Club members at Mount Olive Cemetery to take care of those who once took care of us.
It's important to make sure that those headstones are treated with respect and that they look nice and that we highlight that these people were people who fought for us.
For Reams, giving back is just second nature.
I have always been taught to give back to the community that I live in, no matter where I am. So just volunteering and giving back is something that's very much a staple in my life.
Ashlyn Brooks is a senior at Pittsburgh High, and this is her second year coming out to clean up the headstones.
I just think it's really cool to be able to clean the headstones that some people forgot. The ones that we clean are the ones that have been sitting out here the longest, like they're veterans, they're Confederate soldiers, Union soldiers, and a lot of them don't have family that's alive anymore. So I think it's really cool to just kind of give them a new life and make it to where people can actually read their name now and they can be remembered a little bit more.
One by one, members of the Key Club cleaned each headstone, which Brooks says a year ago was a more difficult task.
When we first started, we only had maybe 4 people. that were actually willing to get up at 11 o'clock on a Sunday and come clean headstones. But now it's grown a lot. I think a lot more people are realizing how cool it can be and how fun it is to clean headstones and how important it is to the community. And it's really cool to see people, especially like freshmen, 14-year-olds, coming out here to do it.
Brooks and Reams say they're hopeful the volunteer list will continue to grow as the cleanup project continues into the future. Another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, how COVID has taken its toll on one long-term care facility. And there's a new box office champ for the second straight week. Want to guess who it is? You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
Our state's most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Officials with the Joplin Police Department are conducting a death investigation in the Campbell Parkway neighborhood. According to JPD, officers were dispatched to a home in the 1300 block of Massachusetts on Sunday. 2 people were confirmed dead from an incident inside a residence in that area. Police confirmed the incident was isolated and there is no ongoing threat to the public. This is a developing story and we'll have more information as it becomes available. Officials say a man from Goodman, Missouri died in a crash in southeast Missouri, according to the Missouri State Highway Patrol. A Dodge Ram truck hit a moped driven by 37-year-old Justin Freeman on US 60, 10 miles east of Poplar Bluff. Freeman's moped then ran off the road after the crash. Officials pronounced Freeman dead at the scene. Investigators over the weekend continued to search for 2 girls who went missing from Welch, Oklahoma in 1999. Authorities believe Ashley Freeman and Laura Bible were kidnapped and murdered, but their bodies have never been found. Investigators searched the property at 627 South Ottawa Street in Pitcher based on interviews with Ronnie Busick, who was in prison for his role in the case.
I've been more hands-on getting this place ready to search. There are cellars, wells and stuff back behind this property, as well as there's 2 places that they say that could be cellars behind the property. We were just off a little bit the last time.
Investigators did not find anything but plan to keep looking as new leads come up. Missouri Department of Natural Resources awards $30,000 to the city of Jasper. The money comes from a drinking water engineering report grant to help the city evaluate water and wastewater system improvements. The grant will help the city identify drinking water system improvements that will help the city continue to meet water quality standards. In addition, it covers the engineering costs for those evaluations and will allow the city to review water and wastewater system improvements. The Joplin Public Library co-hosted the 2021 Joplin Writers Fair over the weekend. The event featured 15 different authors, all from the region. Those writers specialized in a variety of genres and forms, such as fiction, nonfiction, poetry, fantasy, and even local history, just to name a few. It also gave local residents the opportunity to meet some of their favorite local authors and even learn a bit about getting into the writing business.
Often whenever you're starting, especially with something that's arts related, people are the best resource, and so when they can connect with people who already have that experience, those people can share tips of the trade and things like that with them.
The event was postponed last year due to the pandemic. It was originally started back in 2017. Four staters packed Central Park in Carthage for some fierce competition and delicious chili this weekend. The Sunday in the Park Chili Cook-Off is a popular part of Carthage's Maple Leaf Festival because it brings the community together for some food and fun. KOAM spoke to the 2020 Chili Cook-Off defending champion to learn what makes this competition such a hit with Carthage residents and festival visitors.
Just coming out here and just having a great time with people. All the money's raised going to a great charity. It's going to the Carthage Humane Society, so you can't beat that. Just come out here and have a good day.
Chili Cook-Off was organized by the Carthage Water and Electric Plant. It raised money for charity by charging folks $5 to taste as many chili entries as they liked. Tasters then voted on which chili they thought should take the crown. A surfer rode on an electric board on Bilbao River in northern Spain, all to promote sustainable mobility and eco-friendly water sports. The jetboard created by Bilbao's Onion Company is designed to glide over water, self-propelled by a turbine equipped with an electric engine. Onion director John Iriarte said the sustainable alternative may intrigue people to take part in water sports in lakes where gas engines are banned. To use them, one only has to press a button to control the speed and turn their body to rotate it. Exhibition on the river was part of the Sustainable Mobility Urban Congress in Bilbao.
All right, rain's getting better, flooding's here to stay, power outages getting worse.
Ooh.
That's where we stand. Live look over 7th and Range Line with the rain coming down sideways because of the high winds. We'll get to our tornado reports here overnight, but more importantly, let's tackle what we have at hand, and that's going to be the major flooding throughout southeast Kansas. We'll talk about the events that we can avoid before we get to the ones that we can't avoid. We can avoid flooding. Driving is what I mean in particular. We can avoid those areas because the Iola Fire Department spent their morning as early as 4:30 already rescuing stranded drivers. Rain totals easily going to be over 3 inches by the time it's said and done. Lime green indicating the flood warnings until 11:15. Now we'll talk about what we cannot avoid. That's because if Mother Nature's going to throw 60-mile-an-hour winds at us, it's going to bring down power lines, and it's going to bring down limbs that are going to bring down power lines. Wind advisory lasting until 11 a.m. On top of that, there's a 60-mile-an-hour gust at Joplin Regional Airport. We also have multiple tornado touchdowns. Early this morning, we finally lost our last tornado warning at about 5:30, so we haven't had any since then. But what we did have is 2 rounds of tornadic activity. The first touchdown was in Delaware County in northeast Oklahoma. Then that same system put one down in Neosho. Then we had a second system that rolled through, and that's where these 2 reports are out of, right along the Jasper-Barton County line. Flipped over a tractor, destroyed a barn, power lines down. And speaking of power lines down, we've got a new report now out of Newton County for south of Neosho, all the way down into Goodman and McDonald County. Another 1,000 customers now without power. And also, too, I want to go up here to Lynn County and Bates County, up there in Mound City and the Butler area, because that is where we just got a new report. 760 customers in Bates County now without power. Lynn County has been dealing with in excess of 2,000 customers. And remember, that's not people, that's customers. So, a household is a customer. You have 4 or 5 people in a household, and that's going to indicate, just a customer. All right, so rain's going to stick around till about, say, 10:30. And then after that, we'll actually have the cloud cover go with it, get some afternoon sunshine. It's going to be a day of cleanup. And one thing I want to stress on top of the flooding is with this wind persisting all the way through the morning, when it does get time to clean up, I want everybody to be very wary because we're still going to have limbs falling throughout the course of the day with these wind gusts of 50 miles per hour. Calm down on Tuesday, get up close to 80, and then we're going to roll it again. Thunderstorm activity for most of Wednesday into Thursday. We'll be back with KOM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. A number of parents made their voices heard Friday at the Crawford County Commissioners meeting, the majority of them unhappy with the USD 250's new masks in class policy. KOM's Mike Mahoney spoke to parents and a county commissioner to learn more.
Friday's Crawford County Commissioners meeting was much livelier than usual, but that's because commissioners were hearing from the public about USD 250's new policy concerning masks in the classroom.
Let's sacrifice for the common good for a little while, and if we do, we'll all come out better on the other side.
People have come forward and told you that their children were suffering. And I ask you to really believe them.
The KDHE and CDC are pushing junk science to gain compliance that buttresses their argument.
Last week, the USD 250 school board announced that masks in class will be optional if Crawford County meets certain health requirements related to COVID-19. While some people at Friday's county commissioner meeting supported the new policy, many parents in attendance felt that student mask wearing should be 100% their choice.
Give parents the option. I don't care if you send your kid in a hazmat suit.
You know, we just want the option, just like you have an option to get a shot, whether you believe in that or not. And let's just make it simple. I mean, we've been dealing with this long enough. We should know by now, and personal choice.
Crawford County Commissioner Jeremy Johnson says he understands parent concerns and got the impression that many of them are worried that school mask mandates will always be present in Crawford County. But he says recent data concerning the coronavirus in Crawford County doesn't back up those fears.
Our numbers have gone down considerably. I've not seen the final ones because they've not been released yet for this week. But as of yesterday, we only had 17 new cases in the county, which is half of what they were the week prior. And this is after a week of students not being required to wear masks in schools. That's promising data going forward.
In Crawford County, Kansas, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
Being required to wear masks in schools. Room. Some meeting attendees also told commissioners they thought the county's quarantine policy was cumbersome and heavy-handed. If you'd like to listen to all the parents' comments or watch Friday's Crawford County Commissioners meeting, we have a link to this story at komnewsnow.com. We'll be back right after this.
A new FDA warning is out about another hand sanitizer. The Food and Drug Administration says people should not use any Art Naturals brand sanitizer. Government says it found cancer-causing chemicals in the product. The products were sold at Walmart and other retailers. The FDA says consumers should throw them out. 19 states and the District of Columbia are challenging the proposed overhaul of the U.S. Postal Service. Their attorneys general filed a complaint with the Postal Regulatory Commission. It seeks to block the rate hikes and service cuts that started rolling out on October 1st. The complaint calls on the commission to conduct a review of the changes before they take effect nationwide. United Airlines is making a bet on a boom in flying over the holidays. The air carrier says it will fly 3,500 domestic flights daily in December. That's the most since the pandemic began and is quickly approaching pre-pandemic levels. United says it is expanding its schedule amid a double-digit increase in searches on its app and website. Healthcare experts are sharing a worrisome outlook on the viability of some long-term care facilities in Minnesota. From critical staffing shortages to accepting new patients and the ability to stay open, we dig into what this means for families.
Long-term care facilities were at the center of the COVID crisis in the beginning, caring for Minnesota's most vulnerable, finding ways to keep patients healthy while dealing with a PPE shortage. Now it's transitioned into a staffing crisis that has a ripple effect for families.
We have had chronic workforce shortages, but we've never had crisis level shortages. And that's where we're at.
Patty Cullen is the CEO of Care Providers of Minnesota. She says there are 23,000 open positions, or 20% of the workforce.
Those who are in our buildings are burnt out, that are coming into work. We have folks working 100-hour work weeks, lots of doubles, so they're tired.
It's resulted in 70% of facilities across the state limiting admissions in some way. That burdens hospitals with longer patient stays and limits options for families looking to place a loved one in a care facility.
It's heartbreaking for us because we know they're usually acting in a moment of crisis.
In addition, Cullen says 26 facilities report they are in the red or in danger of closing. You can see 30% are in the orange. They're working on solutions to keep them open and patients cared for.
We can't just close without finding a place for them to live. And so we need to do some planning.
That includes working with the health department and legislative leaders. They hope the special session will lead to higher livable wages for workers. And they're proposing federal dollars be used for strike teams, similar to when the National Guard stepped in to again plug holes until there's a long-term solution.
I think a lot of people aren't sleeping at night.
Well, Cullen says they're also bracing for the federal vaccination mandate to go into effect. She says that could lead to more worker shortages. We'll be right back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Box office trying to get back to normal for the second straight week. A new #1 movie in the theaters, David Daniel, with early estimates for the weekend top 5.
What'd you say?
The Many Saints of Newark fell to 5th place in its sophomore weekend, stealing away with $1.5 million. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings made $4.2 million for 4th place and a domestic total of $212 million. The Addams Family 2 dropped from 2nd to 3rd, scaring up $10 million. Venom: Let There Be Carnage dropped dramatically from its huge debut weekend, but $32 million was enough for 2nd place and a 10-day domestic total of $142 million.
Who is he?
James, you don't know what this is?
No Time to Die finally reached theaters and debuted #1 with a solid, if not spectacular, $56 million. MGM says 25% of moviegoers surveyed say they made the long-delayed Bond flick their first movie ticket purchase since the pandemic began. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Not done with the rain as of yet. Live look over 7th and Range Line. As we're going to pay attention to a little swirl on the radar that's going to provide additional rain for southwest Missouri. Right now we're going to concentrate on the torrential floodwaters that are soaking southeast Kansas right now, as we've got anywhere from 3.5 to 4.5 inches of rain piled up and not quite done, as we will rain till about say 10:30 this morning. Flood warnings for our counties in lime green, and then the tan that you see, those are wind advisories, because we've already had gusts recorded of close to 60 miles per hour at Joplin Regional Airport. Overnight, we had 2 rounds of tornadic activity. They ranged from Delaware County in northeast Oklahoma up through Newton County in Neosho in southwest Missouri. And then round number 2 provided a second touchdown right on the Jasper-Barton County line that flipped over a tractor, destroyed a barn, and took down power lines. Now, not only did the tornado do that, but the winds continue to do that as we have massive power outages across the 4 states, resulting in about 3,500 customers, not people, customers at this point in time that are in the dark. Now, here's the swirl I was talking about. While the rain does begin to lighten up, it will continue to make the counterclockwise motion and work its way into southwest Missouri. And now, even though the flash flood warnings have been lifted for the western portion of southwest Missouri and really all throughout our highlighted counties, please know the flooding is imminent. It is upon us, and the floodwaters aren't going to go anywhere anytime soon with as much as we've taken on since last night. Our weather trend, once the rain stops, it's actually going to take the cloud cover with it. Can give you an idea about how it departs right here. So we'll end up with some afternoon sunshine. But one thing I want to reiterate is, even though it's going to be a day of assessing damage and cleaning up, I want everybody to be very wary of the winds, because we're going to have additional tree limbs falling all morning long. That can pose a very, very serious threat. Tuesday, we get up close to 80, and then we've got additional thunderstorms. They're going to lock in Wednesday all the way to Thursday. We'll be back. Wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. Southwest Airlines canceled around 2,000 flights over the weekend, leaving passengers scrambling. The airline blamed disruptive weather and air traffic control issues, although the FAA attributes the disruptions to staffing and aircraft issues. New COVID infections are down 20% nationwide over the past 2 weeks, and deaths are down 14%. An FDA advisory panel meets later this month to consider emergency use authorization of Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine in children ages 5 to 11. Facebook says it will be introducing new features, including prompting teens to take a break from Instagram and nudging teens if they repeatedly look at the same content. Change comes in the wake of a Facebook whistleblower's testimony that social media site harms children. Let's check back in with Michael for the final look at your forecast.
Shout out to all our linemen out there. I know you're not watching the news because you're busy working. We've got an additional 300 customers that new report coming in Neosho County in southeast Kansas that are now without power. I know you're working diligently to get everybody back online, and doing so with 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts coming at you. So on top of the flood warnings, wind advisories lasting until 11 o'clock. Rain will stick around till about 10:30. After that, it'll take the cloud cover with it. We'll actually get some afternoon sunshine. Everybody be very careful out there. Remember, on top of the flooding, the winds are going to bring dangerous conditions when you're outdoors today because of falling tree limbs.
All right, well.
I got a feeling we'll probably have more news and weather, pretty sure at noon. Probably going to combo those two.
Yeah.
Probably weather
of-
and news about weather.
Yeah. We've already got some great video coming in from Oklahoma, Shawnee, Oklahoma area about a tornado touchdown up there.
Yeah.
And we'll have the latest on the stuff going on in Southwest Missouri too, so.
All right, everybody be careful out there cleaning up. I know you're going to get some daylight and you're going to go assess everything. Just do me a favor. Be safe. Thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. As I mentioned, more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.
Yes, a court recently